What about keeping a candidate warm? Candidate ghosting is a huge problem right now.
You should absolutely double up on video, double down on
Never,
video.
never met your boss in person, right?
Yeah. They know I love Broadway musicals and I go down that rabbit hole way too often.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the 10X Candidate Career Show. I've got Maury Hanigan, who is the CEO of SparcStart. Maury, thank you. Welcome back to the 10X Candidate Career Show. You were on my previous podcast. So what did you think of that experience?
Oh, great. I love everything video. I love talking to people who are passionate about it. You're always a treat. I always learn something new and get excited about the conversation. So,
I'll give you a heart. There you go.
A little love fest here.
She's a little hand heart. So today we've got some requests from people on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, and they've been asking me, Jeff, love what you're doing, but we need additional ideas on how we can, or what type of video content that we can create throughout that entire recruiting process, right? So they're used to creating employer branding videos and they're dumping candidates into the top of the funnel, or they've got some other, branding videos to help with onboarding and stuff, but there's a big chasm in between, right? So we're going to be talking about what other kind of videos you can use throughout that recruiting process to keep candidates engaged and stuff like that.
Great. Because it's essential, particularly now with all the remote recruiting that's going on. We're hearing lots of employers talk about ghosting, candidates just dropping out of the process and so forth. And a lot of that is they don't feel connected to anybody. It's different when you feel like you know somebody who works there, you're looking forward to somebody, who's going to be a colleague, you think there's somebody great you're going to learn a lot from. But now, unfortunately, candidates are at such arm's length, they don't get all of those reinforcing pieces. So video becomes absolutely essential. You should absolutely double up on video, double down on video.
Never met your boss in person, right?
Yeah. Or any of your coworkers, any sense of the vibe of the place. And that's compelling. People say that folks leave jobs, you don't leave a job, you leave a bad boss. But there's also a piece of, you accept a job because of a boss, somebody you want to work with, and even the team. It's very hard to give up a job where you're doing well and things are going well to go join an organization where you've maybe had a 1-hour Zoom video with somebody. That's a big leap. So yeah, video to put a human face, a human voice on it, all the way through the process, all the way through, to start is really critical.
All right. So let's talk about top of funnel. Obviously, you have the employer brand, the day in the life of video, why work here video. And it's always about people, culture. I've never seen an employer brand video that strays from that message because the message works, right? People come there because they can have an impact and because of the people, right? But what other kind of videos could we incorporate? Let's start at the top of the funnel and we'll work our way down, right? So what other kind of videos could we use to drive candidates into the top of the funnel?
I could go on all day about the possibilities, but what I would recommend folks do is really sit down and get disciplined about specifically what problems are you trying to solve? Why are you losing people? Why don't you have the applicant flow that you want? Is it that people don't think you're very technically sophisticated? Is it that they don't think your business is growing fast enough that there's opportunity? Do they, what are those issues you're trying to solve? We just went through and worked with a client who was losing candidates because their hiring managers were dragging their feet. They couldn't even get them all the way to interview, right? They could only send an email so often to say, sorry, still trying to get on Jeff's calendar, kind of thing. So what they did is put together a couple of videos. One was just from the head of the department, who just talked about the work the department was doing and how critical it was to the company as a whole. It was a short video, but it was just a message about this work matters and, we've got a good thing going. They did another video just from a person in the department who talked about the collaboration and what it felt like to work there and so forth, and sent that out, I hate to say it, week 2 when the hiring manager was still dragging their feet. Then they had a video from senior management that just talked about the growth of the market, how the company was positioned, mentioned, some of the energy and the excitement going on. They sent that out week 3. They just had a series of videos that just gave the candidate a sense of the company, that had some dynamic, positive things going on in the environment. We've seen videos from just product managers talking about the great things in the pipeline, or videos from people on a team talking about how a new product goes from idea through to actual development, through to testing, through to marketing. All of these things are helpful for a candidate to understand, to get some insight into what's going on and how they could be a part of it. So the possibilities are almost limitless, and then there are obviously the very practical videos, things like what to expect in our interview process, or here's what to expect in the interview, some really helpful things.
Yeah, so that's obviously a little bit further down the funnel, right? You're keeping those candidates engaged throughout that hiring process and making sure that, or you're at least trying to reduce the possibility of candidates ghosting you or feeling like they've been ghosted by the client, right? Or by the hiring company.
Right. Or just not getting excited about the job.
Yeah.
I read the job interview, job description. I've applied. Yeah, maybe I'm interested, maybe I'm not. What is it you need to do to get them to make your job, kind of on their short list? This is the one I want. This is the one I'm going to go after. As opposed to, we say all the time, just go to 10 different websites and look at the jobs there, and they all become wallpaper. Right? It's all the same paragraphs of text. To really differentiate one from the other is nearly impossible. Some of them even use the same words, the same phrases. So why is a candidate committed to you and your process and really want the job with you? You got to give them something that they can respond to.
So one of the questions that I get asked over and over is that, you keep on mentioning that we're going to email a video, and let's kind of break this down. Understand that most videos are way too large for to be sent over an email, right? I mean, most servers are going to cap you out at like
anything longer than 7 seconds.
Something like that, right? So you can't actually email that video. You might be able to send a snippet of it or a GIF, something like that, but you're certainly not going to be able to send the entire video. So where do you host these things?
First of all, let me jump on my bandwagon about keep videos short, under 30 seconds. So 2-minute video, certainly not on. But the answer is there are a lot of ways you can do that. I mean, the SparkStart system does it, and we let you drop into an email a linked thumbnail of the video. So you can see the person you're going to hear from, you click on the video and you get to see it. There's that possibility. I'll admit we're not huge fans of YouTube, only because YouTube is so good at clickbait. They know all the things you'd rather watch than a recruiting video. I mean, I'm in the business, right, of recruiting video. They even get me. They know I love Broadway musicals, and I go down that rabbit hole way too often. So I mean, there are lots of ways you can host video. You can put landing pages together where you've got a candidate's captured attention. So they come to the landing page, they see the video you want them to see, they come back to your process. That's the whole point. I mean, SparkStart does that. I know you guys are doing that, but that's really important that you have a place in a way that you can professionally share these videos. You can put them on your career site. The data says that candidates don't watch videos on career sites, or they watch them very seldom. We see a lot of people spend a lot of money on professional videos. They put them on their career site, and then their viewership just isn't there. Candidates tend to come to a job posting page, read a job description, apply or not apply, and then leave. So yeah, you do need to reach out, whether it's through your CRM. You can add video right to an in-mail. That's an easy piece to do if you're reached out to candidates. You can text candidates a video. Like, how are you communicating to them? And then obviously social. That's where their eyes are anyway. So if they haven't already thought of you, if you're not already an employer of choice for them, if you're as an employer looking to expand your audience, you've got to get that video in front of them wherever their eyes are today. We're big believers in having current employees share videos on their social media channels.
There's basically, sorry for interrupting, but there's basically 3 pieces to this, right? A, you've got to host the video somewhere, whether it's on a platform like what you guys offer on YouTube, which I don't recommend either, on Vimeo, Wistia, and there's a ton of other video hosting sites, right? It's basically, you put it up there and they give you a link that you can share. They give you a thumbnail that you can share. Loom is another place. I don't recommend Loom. Dub is another one, things like that. You can even put it on Facebook, although I don't recommend that. But basically, you need somewhere that's a publicly hosted site that will give you a URL and preferably a thumbnail also. Now you need a distribution channel. And that could be email, the social media site like Facebook or LinkedIn. It could be text message, like you said. That's the distribution channel. And now you take that link and put it in your distribution channel and you're done, right? Those are the three things: hosting, distribution, and the link. If you're missing one of those, it's not going to work.
Exactly. I mean, we just today announced a new promotion campaign ability so that you can create landing pages. Yeah, so many people think that once they produce the video, they're done.
Yeah.
I've got the video. It's like, no, if nobody sees it, you're not done.
Distribution is probably more important than the actual video or the messaging that you're pushing out. If you have no distribution for a video, what's the point of it, right? You have to get in front of people. So distribution is massively important.
It's massively important, and it's really underplayed all the time. And some of that is it's been so hard for people because, they don't know, where is this video hosted? If we had a production company come in and produce it, it might be sitting on their servers, or they've got files. I mean, if you're a big corporate, obviously you can host these things yourselves. But even that, we're working with, I'll leave an unnamed Fortune 500 that hosted their own videos, had a huge system, but they restricted the number of seats that had availability to it. So the recruiters couldn't get access to them. So you need something that all your recruiters can go in, and we're big believers in the one click. In one click, you should be able to get linked thumbnail that you can drop into your CRM, that you can drop into your emails, that you can drop in anywhere. Recruiters are busy. If they can't do it in one click, they don't do it. So if you've got a more complicated system than that, it's not going to happen. And it needs to be part of their workflow.
I also get asked a lot of times, what about like using bit.ly links or these URL shorteners? Are you recommending that anymore?
Those are certainly ways to do it. But, since most people are doing emails, either put the thumbnail in and hyperlink that. When people can see that there's somebody to watch, they're actually active to do it. We don't recommend that people do intros that are like corporate intros of just their logo, because all of a sudden your video looks like a static ad. But if you see somebody who looks even mildly interesting, you're curious about what they have to say. So taking a thumbnail and hyperlinking it, and SparkStart does that automatically for you. But even if you do that in a two-step process, that's the most effective way to share it. So people can see that there's somebody there to see it. And I'll go back to keeping this short, particularly if you're talking front end of the funnel. Anything under 30 seconds is going to get double the watch rate of anything over 30 seconds. We've got more than 10,000 videos on our platform. So we've got a lot of data, and I love data. And viewership just falls off the cliff at 31 seconds. And it's not that people watch the first 30 seconds and turn it off. They look at the total length of the video and decide whether or not to watch it. So if I sent you a 9-minute video right now, on SparkStart, you're not interested in 9 minutes worth. So you don't watch it at all. If I send you a 17-second video, for 17 seconds, you might be interested and look at it. So you'll watch it. And that's how candidates look at things. So keeping it short is critical, and letting them know how long it is critical. I think there have been some studies done saying, watch this 25-second video and just, and meet your hiring manager, or meet the boss, or meet the head of the department. Those kinds of things are really powerful.
And I would tend to agree with that, right? So we certainly, you and I have always differed on this, right? You have always been promoter of the short video, and I do those also, but I'm also a huge proponent of giving candidates enough information to make a decision on whether they want to continue in the hiring process. And if it takes you 10 minutes discussing the job description, then take it 10 minutes. Now, that's probably not the first video I would send. The first video I would send is probably a 5 to 10 second video from the hiring manager saying, hey, just had my recruiting team reach out to you, blah, blah, blah. That's the first video they get. And then if they're interested, they watch the longer video, right?
Sure.
So you can always capture their attention with a short little snippet and then move it into a longer form video if you need to. I would tend to agree with you. I'm not going to send them a 10, 20-minute video right off the bat. They're not going to watch that.
Right. You've got to match the length of the video to their level of commitment at that stage.
Yeah.
Right. So early on, they're just, doing window shopping. What's out there? What am I looking at? It's got to be short. We joke all the time that if you've got a hire and you want to tell them how to get on the payroll system, you can send them an hour-long video because they want to be on the payroll
It's
system.
instructional, right? I mean,
Right,
I
right.
want to get paid.
Exactly. They're going to sit there until you get to your point. But, matching those, yes, there's absolutely a time and a place for longer form video. People start off the bat with, their 2-minute videos when someone's just, starting to look at job possibilities and things.
Right.
They're not committed enough at that point. So it's all about drawing them in, give them something spark interest, right? Draw them in, get them interested, then feed them a little more, then feed them a little more and keep them going. But yeah.
Right. It's just like fishing, everybody. I know you've heard this analogy 1,000 times, but when you're doing a video, you want the hook first, right? You set the hook and then you reel it in. Reeling it in takes a heck of a lot longer than setting the hook. But most people are trying to sell and tell that story in a 30-second video. And that's not the point of the video, right? The video, the short little snippet videos are really meant to set that hook. And then you redirect them to wherever you're going, right? Whether it's a job description or an apply now page or a longer video, the whole point is to set that hook. So your video intro should be some kind of hook.
Yep.
Right?
And you and I have long agreed that informal video is more effective than fully produced video. And everyone said, oh, we won't look professional. Just talk to people.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, people think that informal video means poor quality video. And we're all walking around with high def cameras in our pockets, right? Yep. You can produce very high level and you do need to be able to hear video, but we can do that easily enough. And candidates really respond to someone just talking to them. Just here's the deal. Here's the job. If you get excited about this and this and this, check out this opportunity. Someone just point blank, kind of lay it out for them rather than all the corporate speak and and please don't have your people read a script. Nothing's going to kill the credibility of a video more than having someone read a script and give all the phrases that you want from your, oh my heavens, we've seen some of these things and we just cringe.
It's basically lights, camera, action, everybody. So if you get your lights accurate, we got nice lighting, you got nice lighting, you don't have deep shadows or really bright light coming in from a window, something like that. I saw one person with shades and they had the stripes going across their face. I'm like, very avant-garde, but probably not the best lighting, right? Audio is kind of important because you want to hear what they're saying, but that can be reduced by just upload the video to rev.com and you can get the closed captioning for hearing impaired down the bottom, right? Closed captions will solve that problem. And then action is make sure you are animating yourself. I see a lot of these hiring managers just sit here and watch, and just like you have to talk with your hands when you're doing any kind of video, right? Talk with bring out your Italian grandmother, everybody.
It certainly helps, but I also see people who are worried about, oh God, we could never put, this person on video. And I like to say all the time, people recognize their tribe. Sometimes you get developers who may not, they're not your salespeople. Yeah, you're going to get all kinds of energy there. Your developers may not be quite so effusive, but you want a candidate to look at a video and go, boy, I've worked with people like that. I went to school with people like that. That feels like my tribe. Here's someplace I'm going to feel comfortable. So the idea that we hold everyone to the standard that they need to be as animated as Jeff, for salespeople, yes. For leadership, yes. But for your internal audit group, maybe they don't need to be as animated as Jeff. Maybe they need to be really focused and pay attention to detail. And that's what's going to make them great. And that's going to attract folks who are going to thrive in that role.
Yep.
So, just have the flexibility to understand we each respond to different kinds of people, and you want to attract people that are going to thrive in your organization. So don't force fit it. Let them be themselves.
That's right. So next one is interview prep, right? So these are the types of videos that you would send after they've already applied. They're already in the recruiting process. They've probably already been screened by the recruiter. But now between that time the recruiter speaks to them and the time that they interview with a hiring manager, you're going to send them a video about, hey, this is what you should do, right?
Right. Yeah. And there are a couple of ways you can do this. Some of it is just, here's what to expect in our interview. One of the best examples we've seen from a company that's doing asynchronous video, they're doing recorded video interviews. So candidate logs on and they record and they don't really have a live person on the other end. They had the hiring manager just do a quick video that said, hey, I've seen your resume. I'm really looking forward to learning more. You're going to get a link from my team for a video. Please complete it. I'm looking forward to learning more about you. It took the hiring manager 15 seconds to record that. And it didn't name anybody by name, but it just said, hey, I've seen your resume. And it really drove participation rates. A lot of candidates are still hesitant to do the one-way video interview, but knowing there was somebody who was interested in hearing the information and they could envision the hiring manager, so at least they knew what the hiring manager looked like and sounded like, just made the whole thing more personal. A quick short video made a huge impact on, we look at how does video drive the numbers, right? How do you really measure success here? There's a perfect example of increased participation rates, increased, connection with candidates so they knew what was coming.
Yep. I was telling you earlier that we're using video voicemail landing pages, right? Our video voicemails right now are getting about a 60% response rate when we send them out on LinkedIn. COVID was slashing our response rates on LinkedIn, dramatically. Some of our recruiters were getting 15, 20% when they had been getting 30, 40%. Now they're getting 60% just because we're using video as a quick little introduction, right? But during that interview prep stage, you mentioned something about, and I call this hyper-personalization. A lot of recruiters are like, well, do I have to say that candidate's name in the video? I'm like, no, you won't have time for that, right? Think about how many candidates a recruiter or even a hiring manager speaks to in a week. You can't individualize every single video and the landing page. It's just ridiculous, right? And candidates aren't going to notice it. This is such a unique, differentiator that the fact that they got a video is enough, everybody. You don't need to say, hi, Maury, or hi, Jeff. It's overkill, right?
There's actually even a little research that says it's a little creepy when you get a little too personalized. But yes, candidates are not reading text.
Right.
We see, we're rewriting our job descriptions. And I want to say, stop.
Yeah.
They're not reading them anyway. So put your time and your energy to something that really is going to connect with candidates. And it's not going to be rewording that second paragraph of text or your company description. Got to talk to them. We've all seen the stats on the amount of internet traffic that's video. And I think it just topped 90%. It was 84 for a while, went to 86. Candidates want to absorb information via video. Go to YouTube and you learn how to repair the faucet in your sink. You want to see the sports highlights. You don't read the article. You just go look at the game highlights. We want video. It engages us.
All right. So we talked about interview prep. What about keeping a candidate warm? Candidate ghosting is a huge problem right now. You go on just about any recruiter Facebook page or group, and that's all they're talking about is how can I get these candidates, get back in touch with me and stuff like that. What are your recommendations as far as keeping candidates warm throughout the recruiting process?
Again, I go back to look at your video library and what have you created that talks about what the company's doing, where are the growth opportunities, what's the excitement, how does the product have impact? I always say it almost doesn't matter who delivers that message, but it's going to be different in every organization. Is it a division manager? Is it your head of manufacturing who talks about the investment you've made in, the latest manufacturing tools, or is it QA, or is it your finance person who talks about, what's going on in the finance and where your challenges are? Whatever function you're recruiting for, there are messages there that are going to give the candidate more information and a sense of the organization. So putting together, does every recruiter have 3 videos just available to them? One is the head of the department talking about, the importance of the work the department is doing and how it contributes overall. Is it a coworker in that department that talks about collaboration and support or whatever it is in their working environment that means something to them? Is it a video from the CEO who talks about how well-positioned the company is and competitively, how they're growing and what that means for employees? Is it somebody from learning and development who talks about their commitment to making sure people progress their careers? I could go on all day with what are the messages. If you've got a library of short videos that with a single click, you can take and share with a candidate. So they learn something else, something new. They feel like they've met another person there. They know somebody else at the company. That's hugely powerful. So any and all of those messages, we're seeing the companies that are doing a good job right now. They've made these informal videos. They've got a video library that's accessible to all of their recruiters who go in and go, gee, I've got a finance candidate. What have I got? In SparkStart, you've got a tagging system. You can go finance and see all the videos that are related to finance. I got this one. Great. Let me just send this as a way to, just introduce to another person in the company, introduce the candidate and keep them warm. So all kinds of possibilities there. Just let people talk about their jobs and talk about what they're doing.
Do you have any metrics as far as, okay, we're sending these videos versus a comparison of just sending email or texts, and video actually is making an impact and bringing candidates through to the longer?
Oh yeah, we've seen, if you reach out to a candidate and you include a hiring manager video, your response rate goes up 8-fold versus just, sending out in-mails with, your job description. When you put a hiring manager video on your job description on your career page, the conversion of videos to applicants goes up by 60%. And it's not just that you get more applicants, you get better educated applicants. They make a better decision to opt in or opt out, because what we can see from the data of how long they stay on page, it's not just that they spend the 30 seconds listening to the hiring manager. They actually spend longer in total on page. So they get interested. So they start to read other things on the page. And we've seen from clients that they get not just more applicants, but better qualified applicants, because people do spend the time, they actually read something and decide if it's the right job or something they want. So they apply more appropriately rather than, gee, that title sounds interesting. Okay, I'll apply to this one or I won't apply to that one, kind of thing. So we've seen that. We've seen in terms of social sharing, I will almost guarantee any client I talk to or any prospective client I talk to, I can almost say unilaterally, your employees right now are not sharing written job descriptions on their personal social media. They're bored by the job descriptions. Their friends are bored and they're just not doing it. And almost everybody acknowledges, no, nobody's really doing that. But when you have a video, particularly if you put them in the video, then they'll go out and they'll share it on their social media. We're all connected to people with similar credentials, right? I'm connected to a ton of talent acquisition people, employer brand people, recruitment marketing people. You're connected to a ton of video people. Well, your IT people are connected to other IT people. Your finance people are connected to other finance people, right? They either went to school with them, they worked other places with them, they've been to conferences with them. So when your employees share on their social media, that's absolutely gold for you, right? You're getting in front of your target audience. And video, it's a 4-fold difference of what people will share if you put a video in there. Yeah, I mean, I could go on all day. The
Birds
numbers,
of a feather flock together, right? So
yeah. Well, it's who we know. I'm off to Vegas again next week for another conference. I'm going to be surrounded by talent acquisition people. This is my tribe. So I'm connected to them on LinkedIn. So yeah, I post something, it gets in front of that audience.
All right. So the last one was onboarding, right? So one of my favorite videos that I like to record, and we just do this we record a screen share of Google Maps. And we just go to maps.google.com and we drive down the street, right? And, push that little button and it kind of advances. And then we go right up to the door where they're going to be, going, to sign in with the reception on day one, right? So we get the address and everything. And candidates love it because they don't have to question. They look at the video. We've actually seen candidates walking up to the door, watching the video and look, yep, that's the address. Okay. It looks just like that. And they're holding it up. Yep. It gives them a level of comfort that I'm in the right place. Right.
Yeah. We were working with a client who had a big warehouse operation. They were having trouble getting people to actually show up for the, kind of the interview, tour and offer, because they were so desperate. They had the receptionist just make a video that said, we dropped a picture into it of what the front door looked like. And then the receptionist just said, hi, I'm the receptionist. I'm going to, I've got your name badge. I'm waiting for you, looking forward to see you. The idea that they'd recognize somebody when they walked in, huge difference in ghosting, huge difference.
I love the badge. I've got your badge right here for you. It doesn't have to be their badge, everybody. Come on.
Yeah, I've got a bit, I've got a badge here. But the onboarding piece, it can be everything from just having a team member. We've seen, particularly again with all the remote, you don't get to meet anybody you're going to work with. So we've seen just team members do really short videos that say, hi, I understand you're going to join us. Looking forward to meeting you. The big joke here, and it SparkStart, because we're New York based, is it tends to be, I'm a Yankees fan. If you're a Mets fan, we're going to have a problem. But other than that, kind of, and even things like, gee, when we're all back in the office, there's a great lunch place down the block. I'll show you when we get here, or hope we get together. Just as informal, kind of, hey, here's my deal. I love to kayak on the weekends, or whatever. It makes you feel welcome. And these can be very informal videos. We've seen that for onboarding, really, really powerful. And then we've seen the more formal things where somebody walks you through how to set up your computer and how to access the VPN. And it's just somebody on screen that says, hey, I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to show you where on your screen you click.
Yep.
Video is incredibly powerful for those kinds of things.
I love it kind of helps you. I explain it that video, especially in the recruiting process, helps you build credibility and establish rapport with a candidate you may never meet face to face, right? Mm-hmm. So as a recruiter, that's kind of critically important, even as a hiring manager, especially in today's remote world. Developing that credibility rapport is absolutely critical if you're going to make that hire, right? Now, what we also use the video for is establishing the hiring manager as a subject matter expert, or maybe their boss as a subject matter expert in whatever it is, especially for DevOps or technology type positions. Candidates want to know that, hey, I've got a colleague that I can go to that knows more than I do, right? Mm-hmm. Most candidates, especially at a junior level, they don't want to come into a job thinking that they're the smartest one on the team, right?
They want to smartest, but the flip side of that we've seen, and this is really gold for a recruiter standpoint, is sometimes when you've seen someone on video, they get a little bit of star power. You've seen someone on video, and then you meet them in person, and it's incredibly flattering to the hiring manager to have candidates respond that way. Oh, I've seen your video. It makes the recruiter look good, because all of a sudden the hiring manager has this little bit of movie star value to them. So from a relationship with your hiring managers, get them to make that quick video, and the whole process just works better.
Yep. And we had a hiring manager that was recognized at a conference, right? They went to a user conference, and a candidate that had applied, oh my gosh, I saw your video last week. And he was so flattered. He wrote like a paragraph email thanking us and stuff like that. So it can have a huge impact. So, what about some of the negatives? And I know we're kind of running short on time here, right? Are there any real or perceived risks of using videos in the recruiting process?
Well, clearly you want to have some kind of approval process, which, you get platforms like SparkStart that's built in. You've got other ways to do that. So, with anything, you want to make sure you've got an eye open for anything that might be discriminatory or inappropriate or whatever. So yes, you need to be wary of that and look for it and make sure that you've got some process in place so you're feeling good about what's out there. But I think the other big negative is you can so overmanage and overproduce them that you just turn candidates off. They really don't want to see that drone shot coming into the building. And, and I don't know if you saw Fiverr did a great spoof on the corporate recruiting video. Here's someone looking important on a whiteboard. The candidates just glaze over. So I'd say the real risk is that you turn people off by trying to be this, overly produced cookie cutter kind of thing, and not just authentic. I hate the word so overused, but it really does matter. You really do need to just talk to people. That's the big risk, is that you don't trust your people enough to let them talk to candidates, and yes, have your approval process in place, but don't overscript it. Don't overproduce it. That's your biggest problem.
Yeah. So this is called UGC, user generated content. I find is 10 times more valuable in the recruiting process than any overly produced, employer branding video. Something that's overly produced isn't going to be able to sell and tell that story effectively. It's got to come naturally out of, the people that work there, their mouths. Right. It's got to be authentic, if you will. So,
right. And it's got to have information that's relevant to that candidate for the job that they're looking for.
Yep.
So if you've got a big organization and you try to do a recruiting video, it's clearly not going to answer the questions of a potential salesperson and a potential finance person and a potential IT person. You have to go to generalities. And I'm asking, why are you boring people with generalities? You've got somebody who's interested in a DevOps position. You've got somebody who's interested in a finance position. Why are you spending 2 minutes boring them? Tell them what they want to know. So one of the great things about informal video is you can create a library of a couple hundred videos. They're short, they don't cost you anything to create. So you can have the head of the finance team talk about it. You can have the head of, your QA team talk about how you QA all of your new releases and so forth. You can have the head of cybersecurity talk about what, you're doing there. There's no need to be generic and boring and just sort of trying to do broad brush. You can actually have informative video because you can produce it at scale. And that changes everything. Imagine if you could, for the whole company, only have 2 paragraphs that you had to send out for every single job. It wouldn't be effective. So why do you think it is with video? And there's no need. There are good platforms. There are good options out there. There's no need to produce that kind of generic information anymore.
I would wholeheartedly agree. All right. So any last thoughts here, Maury?
Oh, dude, don't get me started. I have no last thoughts. I only have beginning thoughts. I think the real piece right now is if you're not using video, you're at a competitive disadvantage because as we've been talking, there are, the technology has caught up, the platforms have caught up. It's easy to do and people are doing it. We've got more than 10,000 videos. We've got recruiters that are out there giving really good content to candidates. And so if you're losing candidates, if they're just dropping out, if they're ghosting you, if you just don't have the applicant flow, you probably don't have the right tools. And you may not see it because so much of it is one-on-one directed. It's like, well, I'm not seeing our competitors using video. That's because they're sending it to the candidates. They're connecting with the candidates. So you may not be seeing it, but you're undoubtedly losing people if you haven't upgraded. We've had high def cameras in our pockets for decades. This is not bleeding edge technology. Yeah. It's probably much more common than anybody who's not using it thinks.
So you just kind of touched on something there.
Jeff, we're never going to stop, you realize.
There's a huge misconception that you need these videos to go viral. That's not the purpose of these videos. In fact, a vast majority of our videos make the hire with 20 to 30 views. That's all you really need. I mean, how many candidates do you need to go through your recruiting funnel? If you're going 50 or 100 candidates through your recruiting funnel to make one hire, I'm talking, you have massive inefficiencies somewhere. You either have an incorrect job description, you're not nailing down your minimum skill set requirements, the hiring manager is indecisive or can't make a decision for whatever reason, or you're just not getting the right candidates, right?
Right.
So something along the way, you don't need 1,000 candidates or 10,000 candidates. You need 10, 20, 30. That's what you need to look at these videos.
Right.
You need the right people looking at them, not
Yep. Yes. You want an efficient system. Nobody wants 10,000 applicants.
Yeah, but it flies in the direct face of what every VP of TA has been doing and taught, and gurus have been teaching. Post a job on a job board, search the job board, get thousands of candidates into our candidate pipeline. And that's how they evaluate, how healthy their recruiting system is. And I'm like, the more candidates you have on every direct, the more inefficient your system is. I just scale it back, man. You want less candidates going through your pipeline.
You want 5 terrific ones.
Yeah.
5 really good, fully qualified, ready, available, and interested. Yes, that's what you want. Yep.
And video can help you narrow down to get higher quality candidates, where a job description, because there's so much fatigue out there for reading job descriptions, it's the same thing over. And 5 years this, 3 years that, blah, blah, blah. You need to do something different. Right. All right.
Absolutely.
Enough of the high horse. Hey.
Great.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the 10X Candidate Experiences show. We're going to get this thing out there. I'll put all your contact information below in the description. Thanks a lot, everybody. Make it a great day. Bye-bye.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. Bye-bye.